Stepped on some toes yesterday. Hello, friends. It's Friday, and was watching a farm talk creator, and they were talking about a situation on their farm they were unhappy with, and it's been an underlying theme of their TikToks. And I just reached out and I said, you know, you're too big to be small. You're too small to be big. You've got this other situation that's really stressing the shit out of you. What do you have on your horizon that's keeping you where you're at? You know, and this is a valid question, right? We'll eat a poop sandwich if there's some light at the end of the tunnel. Like in my life, those last 3 or 4 years that I was at the co-op were miserable, right? I'm 50, 60 hours a week, and then I'm running to feed cattle off-site. Case had gone off to college. It was terrible. But I had some goals out there, and I'm like, if I get to a certain spot, then I can make that change. You know, and that kept me going. And so, you know, are you going to have a piece of land paid for in 3 or 4 years? Are you going to age out at your work and be ready for retirement in 5 years? Will you have a set of cows paid off in 2 years? Or are you just farming the way Dad and Grandpa did, and they handed it to you, and you don't want to make any changes? And I honestly, when I watch your videos, and I feel that a lot of you that watch my videos, we become invested and we care about the people we're watching. You know, we're not laughing, we're not trolling, things like that. We honestly care. And I reached out and just asked this person. So this video is going to make a big difference to 2 or 3 people. But sometimes you're so busy that you just don't even take the time to say, I'm standing in this bucket of shit. I don't like it, but I'm so busy I don't know what to do about it. You know, I've talked about this before. Could you be smaller, right? Are you, you know, do you have a core of competitive advantages that is feeding 50, 60% of your cattle, or providing, you know, do you have a core where you're making your money? You know, are you making your 80% of your money on 20% of your assets, and then are you just going for noise? Or again, is there a milestone, a light at the end of the tunnel? Hey, if I get to here, then I can make these changes. Or are we just, you know, going to keep beating our head against the wall and making TikToks talking about, hey, this sucks, that sucks, or whatever? So if I make a comment on your videos, unless there's a laughy face, you know, Wes gets a few of those now and then, and Tractor Zoom gets a few of those now and then, where I try to send a little zinger. But unless there's a laughy face, I'm probably serious. I'm probably asking you a hard question that maybe you don't want, and maybe in 4 years you'll say, son of a bitch, you know, I wish I would have asked this question 4 years ago. Wish I would have asked this question 10 years ago. You know, if you're feeding marginal feed to marginal cattle from marginal ground that's too far away from home, that's rented, or you're paying interest on, sometimes the best thing we can do is eliminate a bunch of that shit and find out our core, figure out our competitive advantages, build a herd of cattle, build a farming operation that gets right to that core, start babysitting the 20% that's making you 80% of the money, and start calling off the 80% that's making you 20%. Now, that might take you 5, 6 years. It might take you 10 years. But you want to keep that in mind. Is this one of my core money-making things that I'm doing, or is this something I have to offload when the opportunity arises? You know, when I get that piece of land paid for, when I start getting full retirement, when I get the kids out of college, when I get the house paid for or refinanced, can we do something to eliminate the part of the job that I can't stand or is marginal and making a mediocre profit? God bless you. Sorry if I stepped on your toes.